The sun was sinking behind the Aravalli Hills when the old buildings of Bhangarh Fort began to change their face, as if the light itself was afraid to stay too long, and in that fading glow the walls looked less like stone and more like skin, aged, cracked, and breathing with memories no one dared to remember. Long before night arrived, the fort had already begun whispering, a low murmur carried by the wind that slipped through broken windows and collapsed arches, repeating stories that had never been written down. Travelers spoke of Bhangarh as if it were alive, not because of what could be seen, but because of what could be felt, the strange pressure in the chest, the sense of being watched by something that did not blink. The buildings stood in silence, yet they listened, absorbing footsteps, heartbeats, fear. Centuries ago, these halls echoed with laughter, music, and royal commands, but now they echoed with absence, and absence, when left too long, turns into something else entirely. The market street, once filled with voices of merchants and buyers, lay frozen in time, its doorways like open mouths that had forgotten how to speak. Every stone here had witnessed a life end, a promise break, a dream rot away, and as the day died, those stones remembered. Legends say the curse of Bhangarh did not fall in a single moment but seeped in slowly, like poison in water, carried by betrayal, obsession, and forbidden desire. The old buildings became witnesses first, then prisoners, and finally guardians of that curse. When the fort was abandoned, people believed silence would bury the horror, but silence only fed it. As darkness spread, the temperature dropped unnaturally fast, and the wind grew sharp, slicing through the corridors like a warning. A lone traveler once claimed that if you stood still near the palace ruins at dusk, you could hear footsteps walking beside you, perfectly matched, though no one was there. Others said prayers felt heavier here, as if the walls themselves resisted salvation. The temples inside the fort stood cracked but defiant, their idols eroded, eyes hollow, yet somehow aware. The buildings leaned toward each other, as if sharing secrets about the living who dared to enter. Every crack in the wall looked like a scar left by time, but some scars felt fresh, warm with unseen pain. It was believed that after sunset, the fort claimed ownership of every soul inside it, and those who ignored the warnings never returned the same, if they returned at all. The echoes in Bhangarh were not just sounds bouncing off stone. They were memories replaying themselves, trapped in a loop of suffering. A child once asked why no birds nested in the fort, and an elder answered softly that even birds knew when a place no longer belonged to the living. As the moon rose, pale and distant, the fort seemed to exhale, and the ruins shifted in shadow, forming shapes that vanished when stared at too long. Fear here was not loud or sudden. It crept in quietly, settling into the mind, convincing you that you were not alone, that you had never been alone. And if you are listening to this story right now, walking with me through these cursed walls, remember this: every echo you hear is a warning, and every warning ignored becomes a story like this one, passed from voice to voice, just like on this channel, where the ruins speak and the past refuses to stay buried. Night fully claimed Bhangarh Fort the way a predator claims wounded prey, slowly, deliberately, with no need for haste, because escape was never an option once darkness settled into the old buildings. The moonlight spilled over broken roofs and empty courtyards, painting the ruins silver and turning every shadow into something that felt alive, shifting just beyond the corner of vision. The walls, once silent during the day, now seemed restless, as if they had waited patiently for the living to leave so they could finally speak freely. Stories say that at night the fort remembers everything at once, the screams, the prayers, the last breaths, and when too many memories awaken together, reality begins to thin. Doors that no longer existed creaked open, stairways led nowhere and everywhere, and the air grew heavy with the scent of dust and something older, something human. Those who dared enter after sunset often described hearing their own names whispered softly from behind, spoken in voices that sounded familiar, comforting, and impossibly close. The old palace halls echoed with invisible footsteps, pacing endlessly, as if someone were searching for something they lost centuries ago. Some believe the spirits here are not evil, only trapped, but desperation has a way of turning even the innocent into something dangerous. The buildings fed on attention, on fear, on curiosity, drawing visitors deeper into the ruins, guiding them through corridors that seemed to rearrange themselves with every turn. The curse was not a spell carved into stone but a promise made and broken, a promise that bound souls to these walls forever. Lanterns were said to extinguish on their own, and once darkness took full control, people reported seeing figures standing on balconies, staring down with hollow patience. The temples, silent during the day, resonated with low chants at night. Though no mouths moved and no priests remained. Time behaved strangely here, minutes stretched into hours, and some who escaped swore they had been inside for days when only moments had passed. The fort did not need chains or gates to keep its prisoners, it used confusion, fear, and the weight of history. And yet, despite all the warnings, people continued to come, drawn by the thrill of the unknown, by the desire to prove legends wrong. The ruins watched them arrive, the same way they had watched countless others, knowing that belief was not required for the curse to work. As dawn approached, the fort slowly grew quiet again, satisfied, retreating into stillness, leaving behind only unanswered questions and shaken survivors. When the first sunlight touched the walls, the echoes faded, but the feeling remained, lingering like a shadow that followed you home. Bhangarh Fort does not chase you. It waits, confident that curiosity will always bring new listeners, new witnesses, new stories. And if this tale has pulled you into its darkness, if you felt the chill of those cursed walls and heard the echoes from the ruins, then you are already part of this journey. Subscribe to this channel, because there are many more forgotten places, many more whispers trapped in time, and every story we tell keeps these echoes alive. So that the ruins are never truly silent, and the past never truly dies.